Good evening and welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course I'm sitting down with the Techie with Moses, Techie Joe. How are you, darling?
I'm doing okay. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm in a pretty good mood. The normal shit, dealing with narcissists, setting boundaries, slapping people across the face, reminding, you know, my life is my life and fuck y'all. But other than that, I'm pretty good.
Oh, well, there you go. Absolutely.
So, dear, do you want to dive into the Natalie situation? And no, before I hear it, we are not talking pendulum.
No. This has nothing to do with Pendulum's Path, though. Natalie's awesome. We love her. Go check her out. She does stuff all the time. We love her. She's great.
Yeah.
But a different Natalie, a Natalie that's literally closer, or was closer to home. Prison. Really? Is the prison closer?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
It's just an Alderson.
Oh, okay.
Natalie's 4 hours away. It's 2 hours away.
Okay. That's not so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, however one wants to put that.
Well, I've been a chaplain before, so that kind of happens.
Well, yeah, there's that.
So
anyway, so dig on in. Go for it.
So here's the case is basically this. She does a Ponzi scheme. Not so well. She then commits a murder of her husband to cover the Ponzi scheme. Again, not so well.
Yeah, but that's even before you back up. So, okay, there was a point where, this was all pretty typical, normal, suburban, Oak Hill, West Virginia, the high school sweetheart couple, goes to college, gets their degrees, does their shit, should be living a pretty decent life. One of you is a pharmacist, one of you is an IT. These are reasonable jobs with reasonable salaries. It's a low cost of living state. You have two decent earners.
Mm-hmm.
You should be doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Manage your money. Be careful with your choices. You'll be okay. These are good jobs.
Right. And you'll have a higher status of living because you're a pharmacist. Granted, it Access Health, which we'll go into that about.
Yeah.
But the case in itself, I'm like, huh?
Well, yeah, but see, for me, the whole problem has always been, and what I don't think any source is explaining, and I don't think we'll ever know necessarily, is I keep going back to, y'all had it pretty decent.
Right.
I would assume on paper, as long as, nothing got crazy.
Right.
No, you were not buying a multi-million-dollar home. You were not going to, own your own jet. You were not, right. You weren't there. You weren't that level of money. But, pretty decent, middle class. Decent middle class. And then, I don't know, I never got the understanding of, what prompted all of this. What caused the moment where she just wakes up one day and goes, fuck being a pharmacist. I'm going to go and start a government procurement business.
I know where this comes from. This comes from, and no one's ever going to link this. This comes from those prosperity gospel sermons that they were having over at a certain place in Beckley about living the dream and God's going to lead you and all this stuff. And then fucking infomercials on buy property and, buy property on taxes and sell it for rich. Buy loans and sell them. Blah, blah, blah. Government procurement is all in there.
Shannon. Okay. So anyway, so she wakes up one morning and I guess God called her and her husband
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like both of them just quit their jobs.
I don't think he quit his job. I think she quit her job when he thought they had the funds for her to quit her job.
Okay. And then whatever happened, like he quit his job is what it sounded like.
No, he didn't.
Oh, okay. So he was still doing the IT thing.
And the coaching of the Little League baseball, any form of baseball, midget, baseball or tall, baseball senior, baseball or whatever. The man was Mr. Baseball.
Yeah. Meanwhile, his wife is like basically doing the stay-at-home, run your business. Because, I mean, they had a physical brick and mortar, which I'm assuming to be an arms dealer in the state of West Virginia, you probably have to have a brick and mortar.
Right.
That was the only thing I could ever work out because the store never made sense.
No.
Like,
it was an office.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a whatever. It was a retail space with the doors permanently locked. Because, like, I've driven past this business.
Right.
That's the thing. It was located in Beckley, you know, if you go past now, I think you can still see the signage. But anyway, it was in Beckley. You judge off the signage. You go, oh, it's a gun store.
Right.
You know, it sounds like a gun store. It looks like a gun store. But then you realize that, like, there's just all these, like, broken down vehicles and, you know, you get stuck in traffic. So then you notice that, like, by appointment only or whatever the door said, it was something to the effect of, like, not open.
Right.
Like, there's no open sign. There's no whatever. So there's a physical building that you never see anyone at.
Right.
That you can't just walk in. It's not a normal off the street business. You don't just walk in and like, hi, I would like one gun, please.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it has no community involvement in that in that regard.
Right.
But then it sounds like they're doing all these things.
Right.
And, like, you know, they're sponsoring like Little League stuff and like their name's all over the place.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was at one point.
Oh no, I didn't Google.
Oh, okay. Like, they were very, like, it was out there. It was just very weird. And it was like, it was one of those moments. It's like, so then, because I remember, like, this is the weird part. I remember having all these questions about it because it's like, how do you run what do you do that you have a physical building that sounds like a gun shop that isn't open to the public? So then it's like, I'm going to go look at Joe's website because, like, I want to understand. And it's like, oh, we're a procurement and fulfillment business for the United States and, you know, whatever government. And okay. Like, again, it's one of those businesses, it just sticks in my head.
Right.
Because it's like, this don't make no kind of sense. How are you sitting in the middle of fucking West Virginia and you are the answer to our United States government's procurement needs? What?
Well, someone bought their website real fast.
Oh, fun.
I can order me an AK-57 and it'll be here by Friday.
Oh, goody. But yeah, no, like, again, none of this ever made any sense to me. And then but again, it was one of those businesses. It's okay, whatever. I don't know what's going on. I apparently live under a rock. And you just kind of forget about it. And then, like, it pops up first because she's been arrested in a Ponzi scheme.
Right.
And so we're all sitting around going, oh, this just got weirder.
It said not open to the public.
Yeah, not open to the public. There you go. I knew it was something to that effect. It was, by appointment or not open to the public, whatever. And it was like, how do you run a business that's not open to the public,
Mm-hmm.
but you have a retail location and a pretty decently fronted one?
Right.
Like, clean out your parking lot.
Right.
Again, it was one of those. It's sort of like when all the sorry, I call them senior daycare centers. The video lottery places,
Mm-hmm.
where you're like, is it a strip club? Is it a bar? Is it? Oh, it's video lottery. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Because it looks like it could be any of those things.
Right.
Dark glass, weirdo building thrown up in the weirdest locations, tons of cars that sit all day, and then it's like, so what is this? Like, is it a bar? Is it a strip club? Because all of them have like weird names, like Lulu's and Cece's and, Hotspot and
Coffee club.
It could be anything.
I thought we had
Coffee club is the weird one.
Yes, it's the weird one. I thought we had a lovely new coffee house, which we do. It's just uptown. This is a different one. Yeah, and I was like, I need to stop in there and taste their coffee. I've never been in there. Then my cousin tells me, no, that's a video gambling place. And I'm like, do y'all at least have coffee? Of course not.
Yeah, there's 3 on the same side of the road, I think, even.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1, 2, 3 in a row. 4. Sorry, there's 4 of them? Okay.
Yeah. There's the karate, the one that moved into the karate studio. There's coffee shop. There's the pub. And then I think there's Judy's or something. Anyway, they're all on a damn road right there. One beside each other so they can share things.
Yeah, and that's on Main Street. And then there's another street that has like 3 more.
Uh-huh.
Like, we are eat up with video lottery.
Yeah.
Like, this whole area is just like, it is apparently the turnkey business. Good luck finding a laundromat, which used to be your like, I have an idiot like son-in-law.
Uh-huh.
Here's your business. Don't fuck it up. I think video gambling has become that.
Yes.
Like, this is where you chunk your ne'er-do-well child and just go, don't fuck it up.
Right.
Just don't fuck it up.
Right.
Where it used to be like laundromats and gas stations and like, these were all easy turnkey businesses that it's like, don't fuck it up.
Right.
Like, all you got to do, don't steal from it. Don't try to get ahead with it. Don't use it as a front for something else. Just run the business. You'll be fine.
Right. Which is insane.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But back to whole, like, Natalie Cochran, like, her and her husband have this business. It's a Ponzi scheme. She's being indicted. There's a grand jury. There's a whole thing taking place with that.
Well, we got to back up a little bit farther than that. Okay, so they opened this business to get government contracts and fulfill the government contracts. Okay, this is where I have the issue with.
Okay.
With the whole story. She's the one supposedly filing for contracts because it's a woman-owned business. She'll get priority, all that.
Yeah, because literally that's one of the running jokes in West Virginia. Is owning a minority-owned business, which you can do. Like, the ironies do not escape us about DEI in the state of West Virginia. But there are all kinds of incentives for female-led businesses.
Right.
So pretty much most of your businesses in the state of West Virginia anymore, there's a woman's name on all the paperwork.
Right.
Because now it's a minority business. And it's like, she may never set foot in it.
Exactly.
Is the typical version of that. Now, I'm not saying there are not female business owners in West Virginia. There are tons of them. Like, they're great and wonderful.
Right.
I'm just saying there's a lot of businesses in West Virginia that are quote unquote female owned and operated that she never set foot in that building.
Right.
This was one of the exceptions, although I don't know that she ever had set foot in the building.
Oh, I'm quite sure she set foot in the building. She supposedly was working in the building. She was working at home. And from what I understand,
Working.
Yeah, but both her and her husband are on the LLC, which is different. But anyhow,
right.
So he is trying to support her through this as she gets started up. She's looking for investors. Of course, she does the family friends routine, and they start investing into these contracts and will get paid back from the government because our government is stupid. Instead of just walking down the street to Walmart to buy a hammer, they pay you $50 to send them a case of them, $50 a hammer. Why? I do not know. This is our government. This is where I would like spending to be adjusted and created understandably correctly. We do not need $5,000 toilets in our government buildings.
Well, the whole reason for government procurement the way it is, and it is flawed. I will freely admit that. The theory, though, was that if to take out any favoritism, what is supposed to occur is if you are the United States government, you don't need a hammer. You don't need 500 hammers. You may need 5,000, 50,000 units of something. Like it's a big order. It's like Walmart calls you up and says, "Hi, we would like to buy the product you sell." Okay, well, that can lead to favoritism towards a particular brand, a particular store. It can get really dicey. Right. You're going to end up being like a sole supplier, and all these other businesses are going to falter. Right. So what the government does is they outline their need, and then they solicit bids to fulfill. And what they are supposed to be doing and generally doing is based on your ability to fulfill and whatever your bid is for the fulfillment,
right?
They're accepting the lowest bidder. The problem comes in is that you may end up in a situation where the bid amount actually makes the product more expensive than if you had just gone to Walmart to buy a single hammer.
Right.
Because not every business is interested, and so that's why you kind of have this weird middleman situation, middleman opportunity to be like, I can go buy 5,000 hammers from fucking Walmart or 5,000 or whatever you need, and I will bid it, and like maybe 3 other people bid. And okay, they bid, so you bid like $100, $50 a hammer.
Right.
Whatever. We'll stick with that. $50 a hammer for 50,000 hammers. And someone else bids higher and someone else bids higher. So you win the bid, you procure the product at that $50 a hammer amount you agreed upon.
Right.
And you fulfill that. Now, that's sometimes the other part of the procurement process that it seems stupid on paper. You realize that and then provide it wherever the United States federal government says to put it.
Exactly.
So you may not be delivering 50,000 hammers 5 miles from your house.
Right.
You may be paying for 50,000 hammers to come to you.
Right.
And then they have to go onto trucks, plural, to be sent wherever the hell the United States federal government sends them.
Right.
So you can add up a lot of cost.
Right.
Trying to fulfill
Mm-hmm.
to actually get that product to the government,
Right.
so that it is received.
Right.
So it's not as simple as like just go to Walmart and buy a ham.
Right.
It really isn't. And it's not always about things like hammers. Like,
Right.
just to be clear, like
But it's a simple,
yeah.
a simple.
If you want a simple analogy of what's going on, that would be how that works.
Okay. So anyway, according to court testimony, he would occasionally help her find contracts, but she's over here doing that full time, all the time, to go and beating the bushes for investors to do these contracts. Here's where the problem begins. His name is on the business. Her name is on the business. She, however, is doing 90% of the work. He's only occasionally helping out.
Well, yeah, he's sitting there doing like some scopes on bids, like bid opportunities. And let's be clear, it's not a contract yet.
Mm-hmm.
You're placing a bid.
Mm-hmm.
If the government accepts your bid, then it becomes a contract.
Right.
That you then have to fulfill.
Right.
And that's where this all was breaking down, is he's finding bid opportunities and giving them to her to go bid on, like spec it out, see how much this would cost, and bid on it. And okay, we got the bid, supposedly. And that's, again, where this all broke down. And she's like, oh, yeah, we got the bid. We got the contract. Because just bidding doesn't mean you have a contract.
Right.
Okay, the part she wasn't doing was she never bid on anything.
Right.
She never won a bid on anything.
Right.
There never was a single contract.
Right.
She's putting it out to everyone that, like, we got these contracts, we need the money to buy the stuff, and then we'll return. So, like, you give us money and we're going to make this much, like, this is how much it costs. We're going to get paid this much. We'll give you back your money plus a percentage.
Right. Plus, I think she was at one time 20, 18, 30%, 60% return.
Yeah. So, and now the thing that I think helped this all survive was they opened this like right around the pandemic.
They opened it in 2015.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were playing this game for a while.
Oh, so the first like 5 years, 4 years, somewhere in there. So, yeah, that's why some people did get some money out of it.
Right.
Because, and made the full Ponzi out of it.
Right.
Because otherwise it's just an investment scam and no one ever got money out.
Right.
So, all right. So started in 2015, somewhere along the way, I don't think anyone ever got their full investment back. Like, no one ever gave them $100,000 and got back $100,000.
No, because what she would do is, this contract ended, we've got another one. Do you want to invest in that one? Sure. Put it all, let the house roll. Let the house roll.
Well, I need like 20,000 or whatever back, but yeah, go ahead and put it towards the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, she's telling them you've earned all this money.
Right.
Okay, but what she's actually doing is she's just lining up people to give her money, and then she's using some of that money to show a return by handing people money, and they're just living their best life.
Right.
They're buying a house, they're buying cars, they're taking trips, she's buying luxury goods. Like,
they're buying other houses because their youth pastor was going to be homeless, so they bought another house and let him live there for cheap ass fucking rent. They had 4 houses in the state of West Virginia. That's nothing major. I mean, 2 generations and you could own 4 houses, flat out.
The sad part is the number of people that do.
Yeah.
Like we say that, and I'm sure there's people listening that are like, wait, what are you talking about? And it's like, nah, you don't understand the state. People just die here.
Right.
And then people get stuck here. And so they own a house and they're taking care of their grandparents on both sides and their parents. And then one grandma dies and one grandpa dies and another grandma dies and a mom dies and a dad dies and a grandpa dies. And suddenly you're all out of relatives, but you're still flush with houses.
Yes. So, all this good stuff. He's running baseball world. She's sitting on the boards of Little League as the treasury because she's so good with money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the best part. And then one of those Little Leagues suddenly has no money.
Yeah.
And they can't figure out where the money for Shady Spring went.
Yeah.
And no one can figure it out. And it's like, we just had a fundraiser. And we supposedly had like $20,000. And now you tell us there's no money.
Yeah.
What do you
Their
mean?
checks were getting returned for uniforms. Oh, no. She was even worse. She was just letting them operate. Like, yep, I'll sign that. And you've done a treasury job for a charitable organization before. You know how this rolls. No one really asked to see your books.
Oh, you think that, right?
Yeah.
I will give hospital volunteers credit for the fact that no, they want to know where that money went. Like they want to see it. Like they want to be like clear on. And like, here's the problem with a lot of like small entities, whether they're nonprofits, small businesses, whatever. It's not just looking at like the balance sheets and the statements and stuff like that, or your financial statements where you've prepared them and you explain where all the money went and what it was for and why. You also have to see the bank statement balances and legitimately understand like how much money did we have, how much money did we spend, how much money do we have.
Right.
And I'll give the volunteers credit for that. Like, because one of the most popular things that happens is in small entities, you usually have one person.
Right.
Someone else has a name on the account because, you could die. But in most small entities, you have one person that receives the statement, deals with the bank. This is all the same person, and makes all the money movements.
Right.
So they're the only person that knows what the hell's going on.
Right.
And that was a problem for a florist that we worked with, because I got a phone call one day while I was treasurer for the hospital volunteers from our florist who said, we have not received a payment from you in the last 6 months. And I went, oh, the hell you haven't. And he wanted to see canceled checks.
Right.
And I'm like, for 6 months? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, you understand this is going to have a fee attached, right? I'm like, my bank charges me for check duplicates to get a duplicate of that canceled check or of the cash check. Like, are you going to pay this fee? Because I can't go.
Right.
I know I paid you. I can send you bank statements that I paid you. And highlight all the entries and you can see it. I don't care to do that. I don't have a problem with that. But if you want to see the physical check, I have to pay the bank for that. Like, are you going to pay me? And he's like, yeah. That's fine. I need to see the canceled checks. Cool. So I go to the bank. I had a very interesting learning experience with that. Your bank no longer uses the check number as a unique identifier for your check. They need to know exactly what date it was cashed on and the amount to be able to pull that. So FYI, if you ever have to go get a copy of a canceled check, you don't care about the check number or when you wrote it. You need to, from your statement, figure out what day it was cashed on. Effing nightmare. So anyway, did all that, pulled weekly. We wrote them a weekly check. Florist showed up, filled a display case, did some math on how many units were left versus how many units had sold, restocked the case with fresh flowers, charged us, left a little ticket, and then we had to write them a check for the difference, like how much, Anyway, really profitable for the hospital volunteers, side note. But a pain in the butt when you're talking about 6 months of weekly checks. Total nightmare. But anyway,
26 checks. But anyway,
still, it's the, and then you have to tell them when they were cashed. And then you have to go back through and like dovetail that to the order and like how far off is the week that this occurred versus the week that they got paid. You know what I mean? And try to work out the flow of the money. It was $100 and some. What that bank charged me. Like, bill it to us. So I submitted all these cancel checks to this business. Come to find out what had happened, his wife had been the sole person doing all the bookkeeping. She got sick. He hired a bookkeeper. He's paying attention to his sick wife while trying to run his business as a florist. Wasn't paying any attention, like every other small business out there was not paying any attention to where the money is and just operating. Well, his bookkeeper didn't show up one day. And she was never seen again. Because what she had done is opened another account and was cashing all these checks for his business to that account.
The fun of it all.
Yeah, so this is why I love the hospital volunteers. There were 4 people on that account. And on any given month, all 4 had seen a bank statement. And a bank statement within the last 30 days on all 3 accounts. So I loved it. I thought that was like, hi, keep us all honest. Like,
exactly.
Because someone's going to notice. You know, and it's, so that is typically the most common way that people get away with defrauding a business is because the business was paying no attention to their accounts. The second most popular way is even with seeing the bank statements, the next most common way to defraud a business is through fake invoices. As in, it looks like a legitimate invoice. It looks like a legitimate business we would pay. You know, I may not know the ins and outs of what that service is or who that company is, but you know, I can follow that. You know, if there's an invoice from Coca-Cola and a check from to Coca-Cola, and we have a vending machine or we, you know, receive product from Coca-Cola, okay. You know, or we're working with a third-party company that does some kind of procurement and fulfillment. And, you know, it's ABC, you know, food service or whatever. It makes sense. Only to find out that that was never an actual entity that you did business with. it was a paper-only business
Mm-hmm.
that your accounting person or your treasurer or whomever
Mm-hmm.
was writing checks to
Mm-hmm.
while diverting them to an account they controlled and then withdrawing those funds down.
Right.
Those are your two most common.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like what happened with Shady Spring,
Mm-hmm.
and this is why I tell this whole story, is one, no one was paying attention. No one else was paying attention.
Right.
She had total control,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounded like she was dummying up invoices for
Mm-hmm.
entities she controlled and then
No.
draining funds off.
No.
That's
She
what
was
it sounded like.
sloppier than it.
Oh,
She was
wow.
sloppier than that. She just took the bank card, slipped,
Ooh.
slipped, Olive Garden, KFC, Louis Vuitton,
Like wherever, whatever. Yeah.
wherever, whatever.
And that's an inappropriate use of an access device,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, like inappropriate use of a payment method,
Yes.
or access device, I think is what that falls under. That is another common way, and that one's dicey.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes mistakes happen.
Right.
If you're on the board of every damn entity known to humankind, you are walking around like most of middle America with so many pieces of plastic in your wallet. It is effing ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, you're going to pull the wrong one.
Mm-hmm.
And oopsie daisy, you did not
Right.
mean to put that meal on that card. That is for the wrong entity.
Right. But
that is not where that goes.
Yeah, but she never, until shit got real, no one ever knew about this. They're raising money, they're, collecting uniform money, they're doing all this. She's just playing, oh, I'll just pay this with this and this with this and this. Didn't care. So that's problem one. Problem two is she goes over and she's running this fake business. She keeps telling everyone, including her husband, oh, we've got 3.5 million coming in. We've got 2 million here, another 100,000 here, 200,000 here coming in.
It's a coming. It's a coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Oh, right. And she's telling him this also. This is like me telling you, I'm working the networks, and I'm just sitting here playing with my Crimean all evening. Never turned them on. The only problem is he did not look at the bank accounts. He did not see deposits coming in. He didn't see deposits coming out. None of that.
Yeah. Again, follow the bouncy ball of what was going on with every entity she had access to.
Right.
She's the only one paying attention. She's the only one looking at bank statements. She's the one with the access and writing the checks and paying the bills.
Mm-hmm.
Common theme. One. Again, this happens in relationships.
Yes.
Like, do you know the number of people who have had that horrific moment where on the outside, all this looked great. They were living them like the life. And then typically what happens is, it used to be, this is an older version of it, is their husband died. And then all of a sudden they found out how much debt they were carrying. And that for like a decade or two, it has been a shell game of using one credit card to pay off another credit card, to get an equity line of credit, to pay off another card, to move money to the bank account, to take out another loan, to trade off a vehicle, and it's just constantly, nothing's getting paid.
Right.
Everyone's getting paid on time.
Right.
And it's just ballooning debt.
Right.
And they drop dead, and you're like, oh, we were so well to do. And then it's like, no.
No.
This is some high flying finance. This is smoke and mirrors that has kept y'all afloat.
Mm-hmm.
And every single dime of that life insurance is what you're going to need
Mm-hmm.
to even attempt to zero out and get to a place where normal people live.
Right. Well, and anyhow, so the government should, first they're going through an audit, so no payments can go through.
Mm-hmm.
We've done this. We've gone through this. We've had this happen. It is not fun when a network or a company decides to audit your account or suspend your account or hold your account any direction.
Or they get involved with a dispute with their payment processor, so they're not getting money.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened recently. Like one of the networks actually did have to dissolve after twice it occurred. They had to dissolve their relationship with their payment processing company,
Mm-hmm.
quickly switch over to another payment processing company,
Mm-hmm.
and then try to get everything settled out so they could send money.
Right.
Because everything was tied up. Like it had their merchant account was locked up because the payment processor decided that they needed to do a withholding,
Right.
or they needed to block access for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they're dead in mid-air collision. Like they're just stuck. Like we don't have the money to pay anyone because it won't be released. It was supposed to have already been released. It's more than cleared.
Mm-hmm.
We're stuck.
Well, that, or the situation I had where my name had to be adjusted on the freaking merchant account, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
That was the longest, most convoluted process.
Bullshit.
There was a moment I thought we were gonna literally have to go all the way back to your birth certificate and just fix everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like one by one, because and this was all because of the difference between your middle name and your middle initial appearing on the account. So all your, of course, like every other human being on the friggin' planet, John Alexander Doe is what's on your formal paperwork. And then for everything else, you would put John R. Doe. So, like, your bank account had John R. Doe. Your social security card has John Doe. You know what I mean? Like, that's the level we were at. And like, so they're like, we don't think this is the same person. And it's like,
huh?
What? And it's like, yeah, we can't release funds to you unless the name matches your, social security card and your birth certificate and every other document we have that has the fully spelled out middle name. Okay, and what would you like me to do about that? Oh, you have to go to your bank.
Yeah.
So we have to drive 30 minutes to the bank to go, this is the stupidest situation ever. I need you to do the following. Please spell out his entire middle name. And then I need you to print a check so I can write void across it. And then I need you to print a copy of the bank statement now showing the full legal name so that they can be satisfied that middle initial you and full middle name you are the same person. Y'all.
Yeah.
Our bank laughed and they said they cannot be serious. Because what this was done under is called Know Your Customer. Is the friendly name for the legislation. I forget like all the details of it, but the simple version is Know Your Customer. It literally is meant to prevent instances where you could be a terrorist or you could be funding terrorism is what this law is about. And it's like, this is the most extreme enforcement that has ever, I cannot believe. And it's like, but from someone making the payment, like, you have all the documents in front of you.
Yeah.
You cannot seriously think this is some rando account.
Right.
Like, could you not just get a letter from our bank? Because we offered that. Can our bank just send you a letter that says we have reviewed the documentation for this account? And while the account name is...
Yeah.
But no, now all your checks have to have your full legal name, is what it meant for you.
Exactly. Full legal name. How fun.
Like,
and I think I just figured out our problem with the situation that we've recently had. But anyhow, cool. Yeah, we need to check the insurance and see if it.
Oh no! Do you think that this? Oh my god!
Oh
my god!
Anyhow,
it's the problem that just never ends.
It never ends. This is it will end this year. Come high hell or high water, it will end. But anyhow, moving forward.
All right.
So, and then we had the government shutdown for a month. Did y'all forget we got a government shutdown? Because hell, it does it every 2 weeks. It's worse than the damn mines. But anyhow.
Yeah, so the government was shut down, so no one's getting money from anything for anything at all. The government doesn't even know if they have money.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, no one's getting paid.
Right. So she then uses that. She even goes ahead and creates a email for her liaison and starts forwarding the email to the investors that she wrote herself, sent to herself, and then forwarded it over.
That, look, see, I'm legit. I'm telling the truth. You know, the government just won't give us our money because they can't.
Right. So he's getting fed up. He's getting more insistent. He's getting more crazed. She finally gives him a date on Bank of America. Will have the money in her account.
Yeah.
Nobody in this state uses Bank of America. Why does somebody use Bank of America? Because there isn't a Bank of America.
They aren't here.
Right.
Yeah. They're not here.
Right.
Which, I mean, only slightly better is like Chase Bank. Because there's a few.
Yeah.
There's a few. But, like, that was the one that got me was, you know, the couple that bought my dad's truck after he passed. I will never forget. It was the first time I knew a Chase Bank customer.
Right.
2010. In West Virginia that I knew of a Chase Bank customer, because they came down and we want to buy the truck. Okay, cool. And, you know, like we were, you know, they're like, we have to go get money. Where's the nearest Chase ATM? And I just looked at them and said, there isn't one. And they're like, what? And I'm like, we don't have a Chase Bank in this part of the state that I know of. Like, Mercer County don't have a Chase Bank, as far as I know. Like, Summer, McDowell, Wyoming, Mingo, like, you are too far south. You are too far south for Chase Bank. I think the nearest one is probably, like, Beckley. So they had to drive and it turned out the nearest one was like Beckley. So they had to drive all the way back to Beckley to Raleigh County, pull out money, and drive all the way back to buy this truck. And it was so funny because they were like, "Please don't sell it while we're gone." And I'm like, "Okay."
Wow, you're right.
Yeah.
After Beckley, there is none in Tennessee.
Well, there's none in the southern part of the state till like Tennessee or whatever. Like this is the dead zone. Like there are none. There's no branches. There's no ATMs. Like you unless you want to pay a fee because it's not your bank. There is not a Chase Bank.
Right.
Like, And it was just this moment of like, do y'all never travel down 77? Like, do y'all just stop at Beckley? And this is like, you're on an adventure.
Right. So anyhow,
God, no.
so she supposedly is using Bank of America for the government to give funds because it's the Bank of America. Of course, it has to be from the Bank of America.
Convenient, because then no one's just going to the bank.
Right.
Like, he can't just walk in and be like, what the fuck's going on?
Right.
How much money's in my account?
Right. Because
now the overarching part of this story is he's not very bright. Like, that's the way it came across in all this.
Right.
He's not the sharpest knife in the knife block.
Well, she played him stupid.
The dullest. He's not the dullest knife in the knife.
Right.
But he's not he's not the sharpest.
Right. So anyway, so he gets fed up with this, it's coming routine. So he says, fine, we'll just go down to Bank of America and see what the problem is.
Yeah.
We'll charter a
because
plane.
At this point, the audit's over, the government shutdown has ended, like, everyone should be getting their money.
Mm-hmm.
Everything should be good.
Right.
Like, she's run out of excuses and she's not coming up with another one.
Right.
And, like, everything she's done is now hitting this point of, like, cough up our money or what the fuck, Natalie?
Yeah. So
meanwhile, her husband is sitting there like, where the fuck is the money, Natalie?
Right. So the first time they set to go down to Lynchburg, he has a seizure. Okay, he's in the hospital for 4 days.
Yep. He hated it. Quote, never wants to go to the hospital again.
According to her. She is the only one that said that. I find that hard for someone in sports not to be used to the hospital. Because you got your physicals, you've got your weigh-ins, you got your blood test. I find all that weird.
But not unheard.
Oh, you're frozen. He said, but not unheard of. Yeah. Especially here, because they were using Raleigh General.
Yeah, like there's a lot of people, just in general, doesn't matter what the hospital is. They hate hospitals. They hate being in hospitals. Like, the hospital experience sucks to them. They don't like being that close to death. Only, people only go to the hospital. But like, there's a lot of that mentality in West Virginia. Okay. So it's not unheard of to at most have someone who will be like, I'll go to the emergency room if like my arm and I become, separated. As in, like, it's over here and I'm over here. But otherwise, like, don't put me in the hospital. Like, I'd rather die.
Right.
I'll take my chances.
Right. So she, he comes home, he recovers. All of a sudden, she's got cancer. She plays this cancer card. She's doing chemo, supposedly.
Yep.
Yada, yada, yada. He's getting even more fed up now. So he says, we'll just charter a plane. I'll fly down there. This is a 2-hour drive, y'all. They're just going to catch a chartered plane and fly down.
Okay. Like, whatever this is, but okay, like, you don't want to make the 4-hour drive, whatever.
Yeah.
Y'all got money.
You're a pilot.
Yeah.
Okay. So get up that morning. He's getting ready. He's taking his vitamins and all that. And the next thing we know is she takes a picture of him lying on the kitchen floor, clearly from a collapse. They're remodeling their home. And
follow this part. Your spouse, your significant other, collapses in the kitchen. You grab your phone, you take a photo of them collapsed in your kitchen. You send it to your supposed bestie, who, you took her husband for $500,000. But you send it to your bestie Like, I don't know what happened. He's just on the floor.
Uh-huh.
Huh?
Yeah. That was my And then she, they're having construction people there working. So she has them pick him up and take him to the couch.
Yeah. Oh, he's just going to sleep it off, is what you're texting your bestie. And everyone else she shared the photo with is, he doesn't want to go to the hospital. He doesn't feel good. He's going to sleep it off. Okay, thanks.
Right. Problem being is one of your besties' wife is a physician's assistant. Now, I give them a lot of trash. If I wanted to speak to my doctor's secretary, I'd deal with the receptionist first. Yeah. I'm a dick. I prefer doctors, not physician's assistants or nurse practitioners. No, thank you. I want someone that went to school. Anyhow, I have to give them this.
You're a healthcare snob. Let's just call it that and move on.
Yes.
Is like and there's some complexities to your healthcare that it's like, I am not a see me once a year for a physical and tell me, run my labs and then tell me I'm fine till next year, like good for another 100,000. That's not really your healthcare level.
Right.
And it should be noted that people that are not at that healthcare level, physician's assistant, not really the best place for you.
Exactly. So anyhow.
But they're friends with a physician's assistant who is like, let me come over and see how he is doing.
Right.
Because
walks in, looks at her husband and says, he's going to the hospital. This is what I do not get. Why they did not call Jane Care and have him come pick him up and take him right then.
He needs to go to the hospital. He doesn't want to go to the hospital. I tried to get him to go to the hospital. He doesn't want to go to the hospital. He'll be so mad.
How could you get it? He's unconscious at this point. He's non-responsive. He's already slipped into a coma.
Yeah, but no one knows this because even though physician's assistant wasn't real clear, she is clear enough that, like, I don't know what the fuck this is. You need to go to the hospital and get checked out now.
Yes.
But, okay, fine. He's unconscious and supposedly doesn't want to go. So, all right, I can only argue so much,
Right. So, friend and wife picks him up, apparently, and carries this 260-pound man to a car and puts him in a car and takes him to Raleigh General. Raleigh General's okay, but I don't really give them much grace. I mean, they did leave a watch and a man.
Oh, things happen.
The other part is back up 2 days, and she got a cold and was put on steroids, and because she's under cancer treatment.
Because she has cancer, and so, every little thing she needs to be super medicated for. Because she's dying of cancer. And so she gets put on these steroids, and of course steroids will increase your glucose.
Yes.
So now back to the bestie. The one you originally sent the photo to, the one that ends up coming and like helping pick your husband up and put him in a car and rush him to the hospital. That morning, the literal morning this all started, you message her about your steroid and glucose problem because their child is diabetic and they have insulin. And there's some issue with the insurance, and like I can't get my insulin right now. And it would just be easier, like, do y'all have an extra, like, that I could borrow, and then I'll replace it? And, like, sure, we'll drop that off for you.
Yeah.
So, sends her little husband over with a vial of insulin, tucked in a little baggie, hangs it on the door. Okay, thanks.
Right.
And he goes to work. Right. And then ends up having to literally pick this man up off his couch, dead weight. He's in a coma, put him in the car,
Uh-huh.
rush him to the emergency room. They know nothing.
Right.
They have not made this connection yet that we dropped off insulin this morning for her.
Uh-huh.
And now he's comatose and we're having to rush him to the hospital. No connection's been made. He gets to the hospital.
Yeah. His sugar is 21.
Yeah.
Now, my sugar 21, I'm probably hyper. His sugar, because he's not diabetic, 21, he's comatose.
Yeah. His body is struggling to figure out what the hell am I supposed to do.
Right.
Like, I have no clue what this is. I have no clue how to fight this. I am not diabetic.
Right.
Help.
Right. So they give him glucose. They start a glucose drip. I know this process. They start getting glucose. They get his sugar up, and it drops back down. Up and drops back down. He's in ICU. She determines to move him to hospice because they've had to assist in breathing. He's comatose. She says he doesn't want any of this, so she uses her authority as the wife to move him to hospice.
Yeah. Comfort measures only.
Yep. And of course, he dies.
Yeah.
I'm in debate whether she didn't give him insulin continually.
I think at that point he had gone so far and she already knew because, by the way, while she was a pharmacist, her specialty was
Diabetics.
Diabetic counseling. So she knows everything about diabetes.
Right.
She knows everything about insulin. She knows everything about diabetes management. She knows everything about what these drugs will do to the body.
Right.
So here's where, so no one thinks anything.
Right.
That's weird. You know, and even the bestie and her husband, you know, the one that had to pick him up, carry him to the car, rush him to the emergency room. They're like, those poor fucking kids. Because, by the way, they have, what, two kids? Three? Two kids. And they're like, oh my God, those poor kids. Like, their mom is dying. Their husband, like, their father is just died. What about the children?
Right.
And that is where their grief is at. Is like, we just lost our friend. Our other friend's about to die. These kids are going to be orphans. Like, oh my God.
Right.
Again, no one is thinking she's done anything. She has, as for all practical intent and purpose, gotten away with it.
Right.
So now she's the widow.
Right.
With cancer, who's dying, whose husband, you know, just died, and you know
the government's holding her money.
Yeah, the government's holding her money for no reason, and now's not the right time to talk to her about this, and so she's bought herself an extension. Now has more time.
Yes.
Okay. Now this is where I think, like, I don't understand her.
Right.
Okay, you've already had the near, you know, like mid-air collision moment where your husband was going to figure all this out and probably divorce you.
Right.
If not scream a lot.
Right.
About, like, what do you mean there was never a bid? There's never been a contract. There's never any money. There's no money.
Right.
We're running a Ponzi scheme.
Right.
You know. So she's avoided that. And she's gotten plenty of time. Like she's earned the sympathy cards. Like, what I don't get is this was your opportunity to grab your kids and run. Choose a country without extradition and go there.
Well, she's not as bright as that other woman that lost her cash. But anyhow.
You know, I mean, it's just one of those moments of, like, you've played every card you got.
Right.
Like, there's no happy ending to be had here. Why are you just sitting and waiting for it to all come crashing down?
Right.
Get out.
Right. But here's the issue with this, and this becomes the bigger issue. She gets lazy. She gets stupid in both instances. Because y'all remember we were talking about that little league bookkeeping problem?
Mm-hmm.
She then goes and creates fake scholarships in his name that people can donate to the charity, and she's going to give out full rides for 8 years to certain people, certain ones of his students.
Well, to people who are chosen, and there's 8 scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
And the 8 people she chooses
Mm-hmm.
all seem to be people that could call her out on her great big Ponzi scheme and or have a vested interest into what the fuck happens to her.
Yes.
Like there's like, you know, friends, kids, family members, like anyone who seemed to have possibly had an interest.
Right.
It could have like rung an alarm bell. Again,
right.
You've promised them money, you've placated them. Get out. Like the phone call is coming from inside the house. Get out of the house. Do not run upstairs.
Right. So anyhow, the little league thing finally makes it to the prosecutor's office, like the ringing up, talking to the prosecutor, yada yada yada. We have embezzling. You know, what do we do with this? How are we supposed to handle this? That type of thing. Mm-hmm. And it happens to mention that, you know, they're also still waiting for their investment to pay off because they're all in the same social circle.
Yeah, like there's a lot of overlap.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's, yeah.
And he's like, let me look into this further. He looks into it further. It has to give it to the feds because it's a federal crime. Yeah. She gets arrested for the Ponzi scheme. No one thinks that she's a murderer yet.
Again, she's gotten away with murder, but the financial crime has caught her. It has created a snag. Again, because she ran upstairs like a horror movie victim.
Right.
Because she's like, no, I'm just going to stay here. I'll survive in this bathroom with this, hollow core door. I will live. No, you will not live.
You will not live. So anyhow, they search her house. In the refrigerator, there's a vial of insulin. 4 years later, a vial of insulin.
Just kind of hanging out in the fridge, tucked in a corner, just behind the
behind M&Ms, some candy, but behind the junk food.
4 years to dispose of evidence. 4 years to dispose of evidence. You couldn't dispose of evidence.
Oh, I'm the backup person for the bestie's son in case he's over here and needs insulin. Problem 1, he's on a pump. That boy ain't ever going to need to be injected with insulin because the pump will send.
And his parents are going,
huh?
We never did that. They've already forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it strikes them. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there a text message? Like, we forgot in the midst of everything else.
Right.
Didn't she ask us for a vial of insulin for some reason? Yeah, I think she did. I kind of remember dropping it off. I thought it was a little weird, but, whatever. Right. Lost in the sea of tragedies.
Right. Okay, fine. Cute. Takes them another 3 years to press charges on her for murder because they had to go and exhume the body once. Didn't find anything useful. There's a doctor in Michigan that is able to perform tests. He couldn't fully perform the test, but he's like looking at the lab results, the history, everything else. This was external insulin.
Yeah, it is the way that it labs out something like insulin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which would make if you were diabetic and you were in the hospital with a glucose of 21,
Mm-hmm.
and they give you, glucose,
Mm-hmm.
and then your numbers go up, and then they crash, and then they go up, and they crash. This is a normal yo-yo,
Right.
and it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Non-diabetics, no. One,
No.
we don't know why your glucose level is 21.
Right.
That shouldn't happen to a non-diabetic.
Right.
But if it does, typically when we bring your glucose back up, you are fine.
Right.
Oops a daisy, don't know what that was. Did you skip meals? Did you train too hard? Because remember, he's a bodybuilder.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's in sports. He's doing all these sports things.
Right.
Did you forget to eat? Or are you doing some weird protein thing? Or are you like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, stop it.
Exactly. But so 3 years in, they charge her with murder. She gets the case, and I'm watching the case on court TV. He brings up the documentary because I was watching the case, and I'm like, ooh, this will be interesting. Yeah, thank you, 40-hour work week. I get to watch TV now.
Yeah, I know, right?
I know, weird shit. And yes, we'll be talking about what I watch on TV because it's going to be a lot of interesting stuff we've already brought up. But anyhow, I'm watching this and I'm like, you don't watch fucking crime TV, Natalie.
Like, you were so close to getting away with at least the murder, if not the financial crime.
Exactly.
I don't mean no one was ever going to figure it out, but you had plenty of time to throw a dart at a non-extradition country, calmly pack your children for a vacation, and flee.
Exactly.
By the way, on your way to the airport, grab the vial of insulin, throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
And this is where it's like, I don't understand her.
No.
What was, like, you killed your husband to get away with the financial crime. Then with the financial crime, you didn't try to flee. You just waited for everyone to find you out.
Right.
Like, you have no plan. You didn't even make an attempt at try to turn this around or keep going with your Ponzi scheme. Because, by the way, most Ponzi schemes last a while.
Right.
Because you keep getting investors, you keep dribbling out some of the money from the new people to the original people, and getting more money from them, and it just layers and layers and layers until eventually you run out of people.
Right.
But you had time in all this to start building a legitimate business,
right?
Start earning some legitimate money,
right?
To legitimately pay these people off.
Right.
What was your end goal? That's the part that has broke me on this case. What was your end goal? Where did you lose the plot of, like, what is your strategy? Other than, like, take money from people and go to prison.
Right.
Like, what was your,
like, did you not, like, fully, again, she doesn't watch crime TV enough. But anyhow, what's your thoughts on the case in general? And then I'll give my thoughts.
Which case? The financial crime or the murder?
Both.
On the murder, I really struggle the most with the fact that there are still people that think she didn't do it. Chief among them, her mother, which I can understand.
Right.
But her kids?
Yeah.
Like, how are you not sitting here looking? Like, I understand you were minors when this happened.
Right.
Like, one of you aged out into adulthood during the trial, before the trial.
Right.
But how can you have not made the connection yet?
Right.
Your mom killed your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you trying to defend this woman?
Right.
Like, what, like, one, I have real issues with, like, why are you siding with your mom?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just the only parent left is better than no parent? Like, she may be a murderous bitch, but it's the only, parent we got left.
Right.
Like, is that the mentality?
I think that's where they're at, but also I feel really bad for the children because they've just been in mother's care and custody, and now that her parents' custody, which her mom, I'm sorry, is delusional. Delusional as
I
shit.
was not a victim of her crime. Please remit.
Exactly.
What? Like,
What?
you either were a victim or you weren't a victim. Pick one.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not a victim. She didn't do anything to me. She's amazing. Was basically her her mother's court testimony is like, please have mercy, let her out of prison. In like 15 years. The first time she would have been eligible for parole if she had gotten mercy. But also, hi, victim compensation fund, please cut me a check.
I don't know about that. My husband handled that.
Oh,
really?
That's convenient.
And he's not testifying. He
but
refuses
okay,
to
everyone
testify.
got a mama. Everyone got a mama.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Moms are kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the normal mom crazy. Is like, I will believe my child till the day I die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they didn't hurt me. They didn't mean to hurt me. It wasn't their fault. It was someone else. Like, mama's love.
Mm-hmm.
I get that part.
Right.
I struggle with the kids, though. Like,
I know.
I could understand if you were like 4 or 5 or like 8 and 10 or somewhere in that range.
Mm-hmm.
But like older teen, like, what aren't you processing?
Right.
Like, this is not some weird random vendetta against your mother.
Mm-hmm.
Like, follow the bouncy ball.
Mm-hmm.
She killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, her defense was that, oh, well, he was taking steroids for bodybuilding and all supplements from Mexico that affect glucose and insulin levels, and that's what happened. I tried to tell him not to take those.
But you're giving him his injections. And she didn't testify for herself. That's my
Oh,
other
yeah.
problem.
No, well, she was supposed to, and then it was like, nope, not going to testify. Thanks. No.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you're going to get asked a question that was like, you're going to have to perjure yourself to answer that, or you're going to look guilty as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to know what the question was.
I do too. The other part with that is, how dumb is her lawyer?
I literally sat there and went, I will say, I think she did not have an adequate defense. Like, I could understand a request for a retrial. Because his commentary was just so bad.
Well, his questioning was so terrible. Right.
Like, this is your legal defense? Like, this was so bad.
Right.
It's like he already knew you were guilty and just like phoned it in. Or they hired you the worst possible lawyer.
No, this was provided. She hired her own private defense.
Oh, wow. Like, she just couldn't even do better.
Right. And I'm like, oh, his whole Perry Mason moment. They put on a rebuttal detective that's a technical specialist, and he's holding the text messages file. It's like 1,000 messages between Natalie and Mark. And he looks at it and goes, is there, is there text messages? I think he laid the foundation of like, is there text messages discussing this between Natalie and Mark? And the guy's like, yeah. Is there one text message where he asked where the money is or anything about the money? And he goes, oh, there's at least one. Read me the text messages. Do you want me to read every one of them?
Yeah.
And the dude looks like he has...
Because like, his whole argument... Okay, so her whole defense argument is that her husband totally knew this was a scam.
Right.
So she had no reason to kill him because she totally knew this was a scam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but there's all these text messages between him and her where he's going, what the fuck's going on?
Right.
Why don't we have money? Where's the money? Where's the money at? When are we getting the money? When is the contract money coming through? When are we, just that kind of messaging. And it's so he's trying to, with this expert witness, show that like he's totally in on it. He knows exactly what's going on. There's no reason she would kill him.
Right.
Blew up in his face because I thought the first rule of being a lawyer was never ask a question you don't already know the answer to.
Right.
If you don't know what the messages say or what the messages indicate, don't ask about the messages. Don't do it. You just prove the case for the prosecution.
Right. Point blank.
He doesn't know what
was even funnier. What was even funnier is the dude starts reading these text messages, and it is like 33 pages of them. And the judge is like, stop. You've answered the question.
You have more than answered the question. Thank you.
You.
We're all clear. He was clueless.
Right. That's my problem, that he was clueless. Like, I don't get that. Like, you don't know what goes on with my customers. I don't know what goes on your customers. By God, we know when the checks come in.
Well, I mean, we both have access to the bank account. So, yeah, I see when you get deposits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, totally. Like, I have a clue, like, when your money's coming.
Right.
So or at least when it's here.
Right.
So, yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, how do you live with someone and don't fucking know that the business isn't the business? That's problem number one. Problem number two, how dumb are you not to get rid of the murder weapon? Problem number three, how dumb are you not to reserve blood from a patient that is in ICU so that you can test it for later for tox screening? Number four, why does insulin not show up on a tox screening? Why are you not checking for insulin on tox screening at Raleigh General? When you have a patient with a blood glucose of 12, no matter what they are, knowing that 21. This is West Virginia, 21, knowing that this is West Virginia, knowing that there's fentanyl in place, and did his name make an effect on you? That's my other question in his care.
I think it was definitely one of those hospital admits that, like, you really do have to question the professionalism there. Mm-hmm. You have a patient with a glucose of 21 who is not diabetic, who seems otherwise healthy. Why is his glucose 21? Although there is a high likelihood that at the whole reason he was allowed to go to the hospital, or that she waited to take him to the hospital, was knowing how long it would take to get to a point where they weren't going to be able to detect it no matter what they did. And that the only thing she had to worry about, like, her best case scenario is he dies at home.
Right. That was her plan, I believe.
And sorry.
He's frozen. He'll be back in a second.
And
but
all right, so her best bet at that point is like, boo, he died here at the house. I don't know what happened. And then he, gets picked up by the coroner. They light him up, bury him, whatever his end of life care plan was. And, well, apparently burial. And then no one asks any questions.
Right.
Again, I think that kind of strains some credulity there.
Right.
Of like, I understand you're a pharmacist and you know a lot about these medications, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But don't you think your best case scenario was to take him to the hospital?
Yeah, because it's 6 hours.
Would denounce him.
Right.
Where they would declare a cause of death, and then he would go to a funeral home who wouldn't question it.
Right.
Instead of, and also if I mean, the part that kills me is like, you could have lit him up.
Right.
Like, oh, I didn't know he wanted to be buried. I had him cremated. Oopsies.
Mm-hmm.
And again, poof goes the evidence. Good luck trying to prove it later, because you can't dig up cremains.
Right. You can't even.
But again, it's I just keep having this moment of like, you've set up this whole criminal enterprise, and it seems like from the word go, you had to have known, I am going to go to prison. Because the irony of their supposed inspiration for this whole business was the movie War Dogs.
Yeah.
Where literally everyone kept saying, because they were telling everyone this, oh, we were inspired by War Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone keeps saying, you do know they go to the prison at the end of the movie. Like, spoiler alert, they go to prison. Sorry if I just ruined the movie for you, but they go to prison.
Yeah. Now, a lot of things can be said about Hatfield. He did resign.
Criminal enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
To go to jail? Like, what? Like, I don't get this. Like, most people go to commit a criminal act.
Right.
And their first part, the stumbling block for them, is, how do I not go to jail for this?
Right.
How do I rob a bank and not go to jail? How do I do X and not go to jail?
Right.
And then do all the things to let you do X and prevent, or at least slow down as long as possible, anything that could send you to jail.
Right.
I'm totally effed up by the fact that, like, that was nowhere in her mind.
Right.
It's like she just wanted to take a bunch of money from people,
mm-hmm.
cause a lot of pain,
mm-hmm.
kill her husband,
mm-hmm.
and go to jail.
Right.
Like, can I play Monopoly with this woman?
You can't play Monopoly with anyone. That's part of our renegotiation of the relationship.
I'm not allowed to play Monopoly. But no, I mean, like, but she wants to go to jail.
I know, right?
Like, she just wants to, like, I will hand her extra cash every round.
Mm-hmm.
And then she can go to jail. She can buy Park Place and she can go to jail.
Right. But what I don't get about this, and I have to give it to him, Hatfield, he was the prosecutor that resigned in Relic County. This one, he was a bulldog one. Like, the case was already set, ready to go when he walked out of office.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
I mean, it's kind of a slam dunk case.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, it is like the worst game of Clue ever.
I know, right? It's terrible.
It was Natalie Cochran in the kitchen
with the insulin needle.
Like,
yeah, it's like, hello.
Did you need her to like draw arrows and like use crayon? Like, it doesn't get easier.
Exactly. Like it's aggravating. But anyway.
Yeah.
The documentary is 2020. Is done by 2020. It's an hour and 20-minute special. I give it 5 stars. They done pretty good. I'm waiting to see what Court TV comes out with. We may cover any new facts covered there. Oh, yeah. Again, it's 5 cups of coffee because you're going to need them because it's very riveting. But with that, let's just bump into Are You an Asshole?
Well, it's Am I the Jerk?
You are. But anyhow.
Okay. What? Why am I the jerk? Just off the cuff like that. Why am I the jerk?
Just because you're my husband, you have to be a jerk.
Okay, that's fair. Am I the jerk for dead naming my ex in public? I, trans male, and my ex, cis female, dated for 2 years before ultimately breaking up when I found out she cheated on me for a second time. We met online when I found her YouTube channel and got talking. I was featured in some of her videos. We did stream together and later kept talking over Discord once I moved away. The channel is based around an online game that we've both played for years. When we broke up, it was not on good terms, but we generally kept it out of the game. In the game, there are servers you are assigned when you make the account based on where you live. Even though I'd moved across the ocean, my account was still on the same server, so we saw each other often. In our time dating, she expressed a growing interest in women and exploring her sexuality, even eventually resting on pan or bi. She was very comfortable with her gender and used her name often. Her nickname in the game, Misty, was only used to, her nickname in the game is what she went by. Misty was only used 2 places, the YouTube channel and the Discord. On other social media platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat, she went by her name, Piper. I had started dating a new girl and things were going well, but Misty and I still kept in touch, initially through mutual friends. Her new partner also played the game and was on my server. Although we met through an art forum and had been friends at the same time, I was dating at the same time I was dating my ex. One day we were both in the game chilling in a common hangout spot when we noticed Misty was also there. She was talking in chat about an upcoming update, and I wanted to join in addressing one of her opinions and used her nickname. She got mad and said not to call her Misty anymore. So without thinking, I said, okay then, Piper. She became furious and in response proceeded to say my entire dead name in the public chat. First, middle, and last name. Something I hadn't even revealed to my current partner yet. I got upset. My girlfriend, being the amazing person she is, stepped up for me about how Misty had crossed the line. I blocked her and thought that was that, until she went telling our mutual friends that I had dead named her in front of everybody, and I got angry DMs about how awful I was and how could I do that to her. I saw their messages about what an a-hole I was while she never even mentioned what she did in return. When I told my friends what actually happened, they got defensive and said I deserved it. This happened a year ago, and I still wonder, was I really the asshole like my friends said? P.S. She still has Piper as her name on every platform she's on. I'm struggling here. I don't understand. Like, I guess I do and do understand you can dead name a person who is not trans, who has a preferred name or a name that they go by, or a name that they don't, or a name that they prefer in public spaces, for instance. Like, you know, I like Mr. Beast is not Mr. Beast. Okay.
Right.
There's not a driver's license that says Mr. Beast.
Right.
I assume. Okay, like if I'm wrong, just leave it alone. I'm using this for hypothetical purposes. Okay. So I can follow that. I don't know that it, but so we're in game. She's using her in-game nickname.
Mm-hmm.
And it would sound like that's what she would prefer to go by.
Mm-hmm.
If you use that, and then she said, "Don't call me that." So then you said her real name.
No, you said another alias that's in her ID.
Okay. But that she wildly goes by, like most of her accounts are in that, but not this game.
No, all her games, including this game, is in Piper.
Okay. Then I'm like, I don't think you dead name, like, either this is a really poor explanation of what occurred,
Right.
or I don't see the dead naming.
I don't feel that it's dead naming.
Like,
because,
you have a nickname that you.
Okay.
All right.
She is not, he is not, they are not the jerk.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Dead naming is using someone's name that they no longer use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's actively, technically using both.
She's actively
She is Misty in one
both.
place. She is Piper in another.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I literally read was seems for exploring her sex and used her name often. Her nickname in the game, Misty, was only used 2 places: the YouTube channel and the Discord. Oh, so she's only going by Misty on YouTube and Discord.
Mm-hmm.
But then she has another name, which is Piper, that she's also actively using. That's more like using someone's real name versus, or nickname, versus a stage name, which that can get a little dicey.
It's not that damn hard, though. I mean, because I switch names with you all the time, and it depends on where we're talking. If we're talking here, it's Techie Joe. If we're talking in the house and I'm mad, it's JB. If I'm talking to you in public, it's Joe. If I'm talking in game, it's Chef or Chef BB.
Yeah, well, but it's based on my my name in game is Joe Chef Bullock.
Yeah.
Just FYI, if you want to go stalk me in Second Life, you can. It's fine. I don't care.
Come to Fire Island. We'll have fun. We'll all harass him.
Nickname is Chef BB.
Yeah.
Long story. Don't go there. But Chef BB, Chef, Joe Chef, like, pick a name. I go by it. Right. But they're all relatively built around the same, like, Joe thing. Or they're an offshoot of, like, Joe Chef.
Yeah.
Like, these are all, they're more personas than names. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's what more so applies here. Is like, you have a stage name for your YouTube and Discord.
Right.
You have a preferred name in game, like your user tag or whatever, that is then on all your social media, all your other stuff,
right,
for your real life. I think it's inappropriate maybe to be like using someone's real name or preferred name in a game instead of the stage name that they go by on their, like, this is really confusing. Like, don't call me my stage name, then you're dead naming me when you use my other preferred name.
You're again, like, she's not the victim of dead naming here.
No, I don't follow the dead naming at all.
Right.
Like, but then your ex literally dead named
That
you
names you in the
first,
game.
middle, and last,
Right.
like in game.
Right. And see, I don't get this. Like, I don't understand. Okay, I'm going to go off. Like, give me my soapbox for a moment. Go get a cup of coffee if you don't want to hear it. I don't get this. Because I can switch names quickly in a game. But if you come into the game, an example, your name is Purple in the game. You are Purple in my phone. You are Purple in my Discord. You are Purple everywhere I talk to you. I don't care if I know your real name. You're always getting called Purple. Why is this so hard for people?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could understand someone being out in public and you start yelling for Purple and they're like, please don't call me that in public. You know, like, I mean, Purple in and of itself, probably not a problem. But if it's like, you know, Purple Zebra Baby 21, don't call me that in public. Like, that people are going to look weird. Okay. Like, that's not a human name. That's a display name. That's an email name. That's a chat room name. That's a whatever name.
Right.
That's a handle. You know, like, what are y'all, CB people? Like, what ham radio people? Like, what are you doing?
Yes and yes.
Yeah, but you get my point. Those are handles.
Right. But
like,
if you're out at an event with me and someone comes running up to you and gives you a hug and says, how are you, Chef? You're not going to go, you're instantly going to know, oh.
I know where I know you from.
Yes.
Like, I just have to figure out who the hell are you?
Oh, please. I could mostly identify most of our SL circle by face.
Well, I mean, granted, there's some we've seen photos of, but then, like, if this is some rando who walks up and calls me Chef, okay, I know where you know me from.
Mm-hmm.
Care to drop me a screen name? Because I'm not going to put a human face to an avatar body if I've never seen a photo.
Right.
Like, and even if I have, I might struggle.
Right. You have problems with name switching. I have no problem with name switching.
I have a little bit of a problem with it. Like, I still have friends that I spent years talking to online.
Right.
That, like, they're, and this happened in that early 2000s period where, like, everyone's on AOL Instant Messenger and Yahoo Messenger. And so there are people that I will think of your screen name.
Right.
Long before your full legal name will come out of my mouth. Mm-hmm. And it's a struggle someday. Like, one of my friends, dear God, bless him to death. I still will, like, the whole time I knew him, every time I went to say his name, my brain froze because his screen name popped before his literal name.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, now I can say it. Like, I have to go, not the handle. And there's multiple people I have that problem with because I spent so much time talking to them online, but didn't spend that much time talking to them in person. That, like, it's not that we didn't hang out. We did. It's just, like, comparatively.
Right.
Like, AOL Instant Messenger in the early 2000s, like, oh my God.
Oh, please, more than AOL Messenger. I have to do a gear shift every time you bring up my best friend's name and says, oh, you know, such and such posted something. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it's not that I don't know my best friend's name. My best friend, I know her username. I could probably open up Yahoo Chat and go right to her profile.
Right. But so you're having the same problem.
Right.
You spent, and this is a side effect that I think is very particular to people in the early 2000s. And gamers as well, is that, like, you spend so much time around a screen name, a username, a handle, an email address, whatever. And it imprints to an identity.
Right.
And like, you know that person. And then later in the conversation, much later, you momentarily find out a real name.
Right.
But it doesn't attach as hard.
Right.
As all the times you literally sit there and see the words of their screen name over and over and over and over and over. Yeah, I kind of remember their real name. It's something like unless it's directly in their name. Like I have continuously made this too easy on people. Okay. I have only ever had one character name that was for a game that was markedly different from my own name.
Right.
So like my screen name on AOL Instant Messenger, I no longer have access. I will never be able to reply to you. So do what you will with it. But it was literally my real name. I just, like, I'm not that creative. I have had two other handles way long ago. I haven't used those in 2 decades or more. Like, I don't have access to the accounts. The accounts are long dead.
Right.
But you know, and that's it. Everything else I set up with my real fucking name. Yeah. And then only recently, you know, after something happened and I lost those accounts, did I set up a Gmail as a start over with one more handle.
Right.
Because I thought it was hilarious.
Right. But no,
I find it funny. It's a bad dad joke, but it's funny.
Right. It's hilarious. But no, me, it's Aeson Knight everywhere. Everywhere it's Aeson Knight. I have 2 other identities. Those identities, Unbuff Gamer, who has a YouTube channel, who has a Facebook. You can go follow me. If you are an SL member, you can go follow me, find out where I'm DJing at. I took that identity back over because I loaned it out for a little bit to Invisible.
Yeah.
He didn't do much with it, so I took it back.
Yeah. But I'm sitting here going, it basically what your ex should have said was don't talk to me, period.
Yeah.
Like, the problem doesn't sound like it was really about the name, and like your ex is using dead name in a really weird way.
Yeah.
More like I'm dead to you, so don't call my name.
Right. Instead,
you know what I mean? Like, does someone not explain dead naming?
Acceptable. Let's explain that one because that's a term a lot of people get lost in.
Yeah.
Dead naming is using a name that is no longer acceptable to that person. They no longer identify to that name.
Yeah. And generally the principle or the theory is that the person attached to that name is, for all practical intents and purposes, non-existent.
Right.
They don't have a birth certificate that says that anymore. They don't have a driver's license that says that anymore. They do not have a W-2 that says that anymore. They do not have any documentation, nor do they represent that human being. That human being is, for all intents and purposes, deceased.
Exactly.
They existed, past tense, legally on paper, they died. And now a new person exists.
Exactly.
And this is their preferred name. This is their name.
Right.
Doesn't matter what mama called them in labor and delivery 30, 20, 15, 100 years ago.
Right.
That person does not exist.
Exactly.
That's dead naming. Just because you are dead to someone doesn't mean dead naming them when you say their name.
Right. Yeah.
Like I, there's a few people that are quote unquote dead to me. Calling them by their name, any name,
Right.
legal nickname, handle, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a fact.
Right.
And conversely, the same for them if they, want to talk about how horrible I am.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever. I don't have a problem with them saying my name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I assume I'm dead to them too.
Right.
Doesn't
So,
make it dead naming.
right. And this isn't a hard concept, which I do want to kind of give a little shout out while we're here, because I recently ran into one of my old managers and their new daughter, and met their daughter for the first time. And they flowed perfectly, like even getting pronouns. And I'm like, fuck. If she can get it here in Motown, West Virginia,
yeah,
everybody fucking else can.
Like, it's not that fucking hard.
Exactly.
Well, and the reality is, when we talk about preferred names and such, like, do you know one of the biggest problems for locating a patient in a hospital is the number of people who have a full legal name that no one knows? Like, it will, if you ever volunteer for a hospital, I will tell you right now, and you have to look at a patient census. And because someone came in to see Scotty, their neighbor, their person they go to church with, their bowling league partner, their co-worker, whatever, they come in to see Scotty, and you're going to look down that list. And so after you've done this a few times, you're going to look for Scott as a first name, as a middle name, as a middle initial, like an S. And you're not going to find them. Or you're going to find maybe a couple of people with an S name. And so then you have to start asking questions, because you can't just be like, well, there's 15 people. See, you can't do that. You have to start asking questions like, what street do they live on? Because there's two possibilities here. One, Scotty is not a legal name. It does not exist on an insurance card, a driver's license, a photo ID, a credit card, anywhere. Doesn't exist. Scotty doesn't exist. Or this patient has asked to legitimately not be shown on the census. They have declared, I do not want anyone to know I am here. They can ask for that. More than likely what's happened, what 99% of it's going to be, is Scotty ain't their real name. Now, what gets worse is names like Scotty and the preponderance and the likelihood that there is a Scott or a Jane or a John or something. Because I've run into all kinds of those that it's like, well, I'm here to see my friend Johnny. Okay, I got 5 Johns or Jonathans in this hospital. Which one? I like it better when it's like, Papa Bear or something. It's like, clearly that's not going to most likely be a legal name. Like, I'll look real quick for Papa Bear. I don't see a Papa Bear.
Right.
Okay, do you have anything more than that? Like Papa Bear, give me a last name.
Right.
Please let it not be like Johnson.
Right.
Or Bailey. Because this is West Virginia, you want to talk about commonality names. But so one, you either end up sending a patient to the wrong Scott, or you have 5 of them, or whatever the situation is. But then you have to come back, or before they leave, you start asking questions like, what street? give me a street. Like, I don't even need a house number. I just need a street name.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can try to narrow this down and not send you to the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you really understand when you finally find the right one,
Mm-hmm.
why they don't go by that name.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, as a volunteer, I'm not allowed to tell you their legal name. If you know them as Scotty, you're going to continue to know them as Scotty.
Right.
Okay? I can tell you there is a patient in a room number that may be who you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be sitting there looking at, like, Eunice.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean they were born female and are now male. It means I can understand why a boy named Eunice might have chosen a first name to go by.
Right.
That's a tough sell, especially in West Virginia. Okay? Not that that's a literal that's ever happened. I'm just saying, I've seen some.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm looking at it going, Lord, have mercy if that were my first name.
How many
I
people?
found something. Call me anything.
Mm-hmm.
Anything
Mm-hmm.
but that.
Right.
But I've had a aunt that, God help you ever find her in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone knew her as Aunt Polly.
Mm-hmm.
That's Aunt Polly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Her legal first name was Imogene.
Uh-huh.
And it's spelled with as many letters as it sounds like. And it has nothing in the world to do with the word Polly.
Right.
You will never make the connection offhanded. What's
Mm-hmm.
the address?
Uh-huh.
This is the only way you're going to ever hope to find.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're in West Virginia. And granted, 911 addressing has helped.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many times I used to hear addresses like, well, it's rural route up?
Right. That doesn't help at all.
It's a rural route. I think it's rural route 2.
Mm-hmm. What's even worse is cookies. I had 5 cookies
Rural
on
route.
my...
I think it's rural route 2. Not a cookie. Oh, please no. No one is. Do you know how many, like, one, the number of people that their name ain't Cookie? It's nothing like a cookie. Like, I can understand maybe a Candace being a cookie, or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
a Kathy being a cookie, or whatever. 9 times out of 10, Cookie is going to make no sense when you
Mm-hmm.
find the legal name.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as a hospital volunteer, what you have to say is, I think the person you're looking for may be in room whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And then sometimes it's like the worst game of Go Fish you have ever seen played.
Uh-huh.
I had one poor dude. Their neighbor was on one of the longest fucking roads
Uh-huh.
in the area. They didn't know a legal first name or have a clue. They didn't know the address. Like, it was a dude. It was a dude. It was a dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, there are 5 patients in this hospital that live on that road.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, ruling out for gender. Can you narrow it down by age? And then I'm looking at the ages going, never mind, doesn't help.
Right.
They're all within 10 years of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, sir, I'm not even sure who to send you to first.
Right. So my ruling is not a jerk. The poll is up. Thank you, YouTube, for giving me back my poll. Apparently, when I upload 2 videos on a new YouTube channel, it allows me to
do a poll.
Do a poll. How lovely.
Yay. Very
Yay.
Oh, Brenda had a cousin named Pete. Saw where he signed the book at a family funeral. Found out his name was actually Creed. Okay, the funny part is what my oldest brother was named Pete. In terms of that was the name everyone knew.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was a junior.
Mm-hmm.
And it came nowhere from his name. Nowhere are you going to see a P and figure it out. He was not Peter and went by Pete or Petey. Nope. You're not going to figure it out. Good luck. There's no part of his name that's going to go Pete.
Right.
I would call you Pete.
Mm-hmm.
That makes perfect sense. Or not even a common one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because there's sometimes like the Mary Maggie or Margaret Maggie, where it's like, oh, okay, I kind of follow that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So anyhow, some popping along with that, we will go over to the psychic advice, and I'll give my psychic advice on this one while you guys vote in a poll whether they're a jerk.
Vote quickly because it's a short one. New guides. Hello. I hope all is well. I was curious if there is a way to ask for new spirit guides. This had nothing really to do with how things are going with society. Thanks for your help. That's so weird.
No, you cannot fire your
spirit manager.
Exactly.
I don't want to be in this guide section anymore. Can we go over to?
No. Get used to your guide.
I'm just trying to think. Like, the first comment is, are you being a Karen to your spirit guides?
Yes, they are.
Like, I want to see the haircut. I want to see the haircut. Right. Like, what is OP's haircut?
Oh my apparently God. It doesn't have one.
I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that is like, can I get a new spirit guide? This one's gonna kill me. You know what I mean? I think some spirit guides are probably like, you know, cats with a figurine on a shelf, just gonna knock you right off.
Right.
Like, I don't give a fuck.
Oh, I see why. They don't give me signs when I ask and have given me the wrong information. No, they've given you information you didn't like, and they aren't going to be a performing monkey.
Yeah, well, or like, I get it. No, I mean, I seriously think you could, like, what is the realm of possibility? Are you saying it's impossible you don't get a spirit guide that's a dick?
Oh, yeah.
That's just like, no, fuck you, man. I'm going to tell you to run up the stairs and hide behind the hollow core door. You'll be fine.
Yes. My assistant has a comment on this.
All right. So Google says you can't be a jerk for saying hi when the other is trying to run away from past.
He's probably discussing the are you a jerk? Yep. But no, your spirit guide is giving you the information. You don't like the information. It's like a customer coming to me. They don't like their reading. Well, guess what? It's still going to happen. Unless you pack your bags and move to Mexico tomorrow, he's still going to call if you don't change your cell phone number. He's still going to pop into the restaurant you go to if you don't change the area.
Or the co-pilot equivalent of, you know how I'm the one holding the phone with Google Maps and I'm supposed to tell you when to turn? You were supposed to turn 10 miles ago.
Right.
Okay, thanks. Back to being a passenger princess.
Exactly.
You know, just like that could be your spirit guide experience. Like, well, sucks to be you. I don't know. I think I would reflect on why. Why is my spirit guide being a dick?
Mm-hmm.
maybe try to glean some insights as to what about you
Right.
would make your spirit guide be like, nope. Nope. Not helping.
Right.
I will be the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's going to be a pretty big push for a spirit guide to be like, I'm going to be the problem. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, it's just weird to think about. I mean, I know that like you explain the experience is sometimes like, well, my spirit guide is being
Mhm. Yes.
and it's like I'm, and like it's that moment where like you're just walking through the store and it's like, by the way, she has. I don't want to know. Thank you. Keep shut up.
Shut it. Shut up. Shut up. Find me the bananas on sale. But shut up about, what the cashier does on Saturday night. I don't need that. I don't need that information right now.
Like, thank you. No, not my client, not helping them, not my friend, not my family member. I have no attachment to them whatsoever and not going to start one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Exactly. But he finds it funny. It's like he finds it funny when he makes comments about other things. And it's like, I'm not in the mood today, David. We have work to do.
Not today. Not today.
Yep.
All right. Fair enough. All right. So
Alrighty.
How's that poll looking?
Let's check it out. Ooh. Damn, you're not a jerk.
All right.
Yeah.
Ooh, not the jerk.
And the final ruling from the assistant.
Yes, you can't be a jerk for saying hi when the other is trying to run away from past.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really where that goes to is like, you are dead to me. You are out of my life. Leave me alone.
Right.
And it's like, that's not deadening.
Right.
That's something else called stop stalking me.
Right.
Get out of my sphere.
Right.
We are over. Sign out of the server and go away.
Yep.
Like, still. All right. I have multiple friends that used their first names. As we got older, they decided to go by their middle names. No one had any problem with using that middle name once they knew. So why is it so hard to? Well, and then there's like nicknames you get as a kid that just don't age well. Okay. Right. And I had one of those, and coincidentally enough, an ex, like, everyone thinks it's cute that my nickname was JoJo. Let's find out that I do not like that nickname. I really don't.
Right.
It's you know what I mean? It's cute for little kids.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Like every baby Joseph should be called JoJo to a point.
Right.
And then after that, stop. Just stop.
Right.
Like, drop a Joe. They're not that cute anymore. I promise you.
Right.
Like, it's a very cute nickname. Like, no one's that cute after like age 10.
Right.
No one.
Right.
But two, then I had an ex, coincidentally enough, who used the name in a context.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I got the best ammo for anyone who wants to call me that. I will explain why you really don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And you can deal with that mental image.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
Exactly. All right, guys. We know this is a long one. You may be seeing long ones as we progress into. We've got. I don't know.
We're doing more deep dives into like criminal trials and like weird cold cases, and that's so our Friday night show. If you missed us Friday, you didn't. We did Saturday. We had a conflict there with a concert that we had to be at. So we did a Saturday show, and we did a deep dive into the Fox Hollow murders. And so then we're doing Natalie Cochran tonight. That's what we just did. And yeah, so these are deep dives. This isn't just here's the article and some little pieces of it in like 15-20 minute segments. Like no, we did like full hour and a half on Natalie.
I know. And I want to do more of them. We got Oh, YouTube Mama, update on my family.
Yeah,
Like I want to
8
dig.
Passengers. Like we got that one coming up.
Yep.
We're waiting for a special to drop on her.
Right.
Which I think is in like 2 days.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I think that drops the 27th for 8 Passengers.
Yep.
Not to be confused with, there was like a Dateline,
right,
or something. That's not a horrible one, but it really just kind of skims it.
Right.
Like, I'm hoping the one we're waiting to drop will actually be more in depth and like.
Right. And then I'm wanting to do the update on our family documentary that's coming out. That's going to be on Max.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. For those that don't know, that's the YouTube family vlogger that rehomed their child.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's going to be a deep one.
That'll be a very big one.
Ouch.
That will be our new plan of action. It's going to be the 3rd Saturday of the month. Yes, I know it's Psychic Saturday. The concerts are the 3rd Friday of the month. So Mountain Bears every 3rd Friday of Saturday of the month will be Mountain Bears instead of Thursday. Like I'm going to try to preserve my Thursday for me to veg.
It's not that we forgot about the concert. It's just like somehow February seemed longer.
Yes.
And so it was all of a sudden like, oh, crap, that's this Friday. Mm-hmm. Like, we didn't catch it until like on Friday, like mid-afternoon. And it was like, oh, oopsies. We made a boo-boo.
And granted, this is part of me moving into digital, so Google can help me keep up on stuff because my ADHD is on past standby into ultra, but we're getting there.
We're getting there.
Yep. So that's why you're seeing shows pre-scheduled. That's why you're getting notices, or hopefully getting notices. Like, he's keeping me on task. He's doing amazing. Everyone give claps to Google. And with that, take it away, Vanna.
All right. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Caitlin Bell, Devin, and Bella. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes. All right, guys. We will see you on Friday. Bye, y'all.
Bye.